Hi, good morning. This is Chef Regina, and I'm at my cooking school this morning in Natchez, Mississippi. And I have two friends with me today, and we're going to make pasta alla Norma. So they are good friends, and they were saying the other day they wanted to learn a few new things. They've started to cook. So while they're visiting me in Natchez, we're going to do a few things. And this is one of my favorite dishes, which I was making for a dinner party tonight. And I said, well, let's do pasta alla Norma. So we're going to do sauce au poivre on Wednesday. Sauce au poivre is one of my favorite sauces for steak frites. I make it all the time. I even keep it in the freezer. And I'm also going to teach them how to make kind of a remake of the Rolls burger from New York, even though they live in New York or spend a lot of time there. They can have the real thing, but if we're going to make sauce au poivre, we might as well do some other things. So anyway, Wells and Parker, we're going to make pasta alla Norma. And this is one of my favorite Sicilian dishes. And I have had an amazing summer of eggplants out of my garden, and this is kind of the end of the season. So I was cutting some earlier, and I cut my finger, so don't do as I do as I say. I'll show you, but you start by roasting the eggplant. I have basil on my knife because we have fresh basil. So this is such a simple recipe. We have, so you roast your eggplant, and I'm going to cube it in 1-inch cubes, and we're going to toss it in olive oil, a little salt and pepper, and then roast it at 400 degrees for 15 minutes, and then I crank up the oven a little hotter for another 5 minutes. So within 20 minutes, you have your eggplant done, and you can do other things. I usually use that time to cook my pasta. And when you go to cook your pasta, I think sometimes people use too much water cooking their pasta. You want it to be starchy, and especially in a lot of the Italian sauces, you use a little pasta water, so you want it to be starchy, so you don't have it boiling in a lot of water. So I
Do you put salt in your water?
Always, yeah, I do. I'm kind of the queen of salt and fat. I put salt in everything.
Okay.
I try to hold back. I actually made a Spanish omelet for our friend Bo last night, and he doesn't eat a lot of salt, and I did it without salt, and I thought, how can anybody eat this? But a lot of people do, so you can control that, but I do think salt in the water helps. I mean, that's the thing about a dish is in the layers. One of the things I learned early on as a chef is, you don't just season the top of the fish. You need to season the bottom as well. I mean, you really want to season and add to each layer. So, it's good to not over salt things, but you want to add salt to each. You salt the pasta, you add a little bit of salt to the eggplant, and then when you have the finished product, you don't really need to do a lot, but you can tell when things are missing.
Do you use kosher salt?
I do, but I really love flaky sea salt, and this is just a ground fine sea salt. So, but kosher, I like, again, all salts, all butters, all salts. Got it. So anyway, when you go to cut your eggplant, don't hold it in your hand like I was doing, but you can do it a couple of different ways. I cut these off, and you do that, and it's safer. So you come down, we're going to do like 1-inch cubes. And again, when you're cutting things and you can create it where it's flat, you're going to be safer with your knife. So you just do strips. Now, if you were in Italy and they were teaching you this dish, they actually cook the eggplant in the pan traditionally for this dish. But I love roasting it. It saves time, and I like to get that caramelization on the eggplant. I think it comes out really well. But they traditionally cut it in rounds and cook it and then cut it in strips. And I just like to be a little more efficient, I think, but don't want to offend anybody who does it the proper way, but I'm always looking for, I always say I'm a chef, I'm not a martyr, so if I can find something that's a little easier, I go with it.
We'll take it.
So what we're gonna do is we will, as we cut this, we'll put it in there. So I always like, if I'm gonna roast vegetables, any kind of vegetable with olive oil, I want to toss it in the olive oil and not just drizzle it around, over. You want to get it. But I do have to say, is this not a beautiful eggplant?
Really
I'm sure going to miss it when fall comes. I planted some chard and some tricolor carrots, but I don't know how they'll do in this climate. We'll see. But I was shocked at how good the eggplant. So, no, do you want to cut or you want me to cut it, finish this?
I'll do
Do you want to do it? Yeah. So just, and I'm left-handed, so you can be right-handed. It just looks weird to me.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
there you
So
go.
right there.
Yeah, so you want to get that in about thirds, so. Great, yeah, looks good.
How long did it take?
Yeah, my table is.
How long did it take for the eggplant to grow?
We planted it in March,
Mhm.
and I started getting eggplants in probably late July.
Right.
And I still probably have about 8 or 10 that are small and they're still flowers. So we'll see. But I'm sure, it'll last till the to the first cold snap.
Like this?
That looks good. Yeah, you want a nice size cube, so. Great.
This one seems a bit plump.
It's okay. We'll just do it in thinner
Okay.
strips.
Go the other way.
Yeah. Flip it so it's straight
Flat
down,
on the-
flat.
Other way.
Yeah, it's for safety. There you go.
Oh.
And then, and so if it's like, fatter, then we
Mhm.
just do it a little thinner,
Mm-hmm.
but it'll be perfect. There you go.
Mm.
Just do that. Yeah, and always, flat side down so it's
Right.
not slipping out of your hand and the knife's not
Right.
slipping. So,
There's a novice among us, obviously.
no, y'all are doing great. So what have you started to cook? What do you find yourself cooking at home?
Well, Wells made an amazing chicken pot pie
Yeah, that was really
last
fun.
week.
Someone asked me if I made the pastry homemade, and that was me.
Yeah.
Because I
No, but let me tell you, when you're going to learn how to make my biscuits.
Yeah.
So you've had my pot pie with the biscuit.
Yes, and I
Biscuit
love that.
crust.
Oh my god.
But that's an easy way to do it, right? I mean, not easy, but like you
Yeah.
put the biscuits on top as opposed to a
Right.
full.
Well, what you do is you roll out the dough to 1/4 of an inch, but you've got that great flaky biscuit dough that I make.
Right.
And I put bacon and thyme on it, but it's your go-to now for your pot
Oh,
pie.
I'm so excited.
So,
I'll
So when you
little
make
cute mini
biscuits-
ones too. That'd
Yeah.
be fun.
yeah, I've got a couple in the freezer. I should send them with y'all.
What else have we made?
We did. Well, I really like the butter salmon thing that we were making, but Wells told me last night it wasn't her favorite
He just
dish.
talks
So
about it a lot, and I just thought
it's
that.
because it's easy. It's because basically you take capers and onions and you kind of crisp them in a pot of butter, and then you basically pour that all over the salmon, and then stick the salmon in the oven,
Uh-huh.
and then voila. So, but I'm such a novice. I need easy,
Yeah, but no, easy is good,
Yeah.
really. If you have a weekend where you can spend time making things.
Mhm.
But I have in my freezer, like I freeze my white bolognese, I freeze this sauce, I freeze. In fact, this is some of my tomato sauce that I had,
Nice,
so I
Keep
just,
it.
you just
Yeah.
keep things, so. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna toss this. And again, we've got the recipe will be on reginaskitchen.com. And so, here we go, that's what I need. And we'll put a little salt, oops. And, there's this whole thing that people do with eggplant, they salt it, let it sit, and never seen the purpose of that, so I don't
my
do it.
brother did that once, and it was so oversalted. It was-
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary, so. All right, I'm gonna put a pinch of crushed red pepper because that gets really hot and it's better in the sauce.
Would you have salt at the table at your restaurants?
Always.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't get that where people think they're so good that they're going
Right.
to season people's food just the way they want.
Yeah.
I find that a bit
Yeah.
arrogant.
Yeah.
Probably need a bigger pan, but you're just doing this part for show. So I've got, so this is a little crowded. We'll actually put this on a bigger pan to spread it out to roast. And so the eggplant we roast, I crank up my oven to 400 degrees and I put it in for 15 minutes and then I crank it up another 50 degrees for 5 more minutes. So within 20 minutes, your eggplant is just perfect for this dish. And voila, we have the eggplant. Okay, so now let's make the sauce. So I'm making a big mess here.
So salt, pepper, and chili flakes.
Yes, all right, so let's turn this on. Let this get a little hot. And so anyway, I like using fresh garlic cloves. I thought I had some and I didn't. So I keep this garlic paste, garlic puree. I love it, it's really good. And the thing about the company that does this, they really puree their garlic. I mean, a lot of times garlic is really bitter if it's old, and I just find this is really good. So I have no problem using this. There are different brands, and I don't find this good. So if you're using the fresh garlic, I just smash the cloves with the knife and put them in the oil. And I use the word fragrant. You just want to get your garlic fragrant. You start smelling it. You don't want it to brown too much. And then you start building your sauce. So. It smells like a good time. All right, so I add a little red wine to this. And I think in the recipe, see if I say to reduce it a little bit. I think I wrote so many recipes yesterday that, see if I'm doing step by step. So we've got the eggplant. Oh, you know what I need to
Add
do?
red wine and let it reduce by 50%.
Okay. A day with a tablespoon of olive oil and a tablespoon of garlic. Let that saute for just a minute, and then we added the red wine, and we want the red wine to reduce by 50%. Let that alcohol cook out. But I find a touch of red wine really is great with a tomato sauce. And you see those nice bubbles, you know that it's starting to reduce. Yeah.
So if it reduces by 50%, there's no more alcohol.
Right. Well, there's a lot less and nothing, not much. By the time it's all cooked, you cook out the alcohol. So good. And what'll happen, you see those bubbles, I want to see a few more of those.
Okay.
Patience, that's the hard part, it's like lead. All right, ready? All right, so now I'm going to add my tomatoes. Tomato sauce. And I'm going to put some dried oregano. The funny thing is I have fresh oregano in my garden, but there's something about dried oregano that really works well with the tomato sauce, almost better. Like the fresh is lost,
Right.
but the dry is, really is a lot more intense and it really gives a nice flavor.
And you have your pasta water.
What's the most popular herb in Italian cooking?
Well, so the cheese that you should be using for this pasta is a salted ricotta, and I can't find it anywhere. Of course, in Natchez, Mississippi. If you live in an Italian neighborhood or a big city, you can definitely find it, but it's dried and it's saltier. So you can use feta, or I use Reggiano Parma, and that's really good. So, a good Parmesan that's good dried, and I have that at the house, not here. So I thought we would just sprinkle a little of the feta on top to give that taste. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna turn this down. We'll go back to this camera. Okay, so now I always add, to balance my sauce, my tomato sauces. And I learned this from my friend Kathy Ditella, who's one of the best Italian cooks I know, who I grew up with. And so if you whisk in butter into your tomato sauce towards the end, it just really makes a difference for this dish. Are y'all getting hungry?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm starving.
I feel like that's a chef's secret. When in doubt, add butter.
Yeah.
Yes.
Butter and salt.
Butter and salt. And then I always add my basil at the very last.
Just because you don't want it too.
Cook down.
Right, you want that freshness of it, and you don't. So it needs to cook to get into the sauce and the taste. Then, so we're not going to use pasta water because I think our sauce, this tomato sauce that I used, was really good. And we're gonna add our eggplant.
You're saying no starch needed.
No starch needed this time, and it's different every time when you
Yeah.
use different tomato products.
Right. And
Okay,
you just can kind of eyeball that.
yes. Now, right over there, I've got some tasting spoons. Do you see them right there? I think we need to taste this tomato sauce and see if we need to do anything with it. What do you think?
Oh my god.
Mhm.
Oh, it's so good.
So simple. No, you could use this sauce for just about anything, pasta-wise.
Yeah.
So simple.
Mm.
Now, to give you a shortcut, if you don't have
Yum.
a good tomato sauce, get your favorite bottled marinara,
Okay.
Rayos, or
Yeah.
whoever. There's many in the market that are directly from Italy, and use that.
Okay.
It's just going to be better than
Yeah.
like Hunt's tomato
Right.
sauce. So,
Okay.
but look how pretty that is. Now we're going to add our pasta. Now, I have a bowl right over there.
Okay.
If you get that bowl, we'll toss this in there.
You're saying that you bought, this is bought tomato sauce? And it's
No,
just
I
like
made
really
it. I keep it in the freezer, but you can buy it. I would recommend buying it than using like a
Right.
Hunt's tomato sauce.
And what goes into tomato sauce?
Oh, these, when I make mine for spaghetti sauce, it's onion and Italian seasoning, and I make mine with pork ribs in it to make it rich. But you can get good marinara,
Yeah.
and it's got basil and garlic in it, so it's a good
Right,
base.
right.
It's
Got
not going to mess up your dish.
Okay.
It's just going to help it. Okay. Let's see if this recipe works in the. Oops. Here. Oh no, I'll just put it on top. It should be just about right.
Just wonder.
Yeah. Okay, finished dish.
That's quick.
That was quick.
Yeah, see?
That was really easy.
See? All right. Well, thank you. All right.
Bye.
Ciao.